Hello, friend. Welcome to the elite world of communication mastery. Today I'm going to teach you techniques so advanced they haven't been developed yet. In fact, scratch that. You don't actually need to communicate, you just need to sound like you're saying something profound, conveying a genuine interest in others and limiting your time to communicating with people that can offer you something. But shouldn't communication be about understanding each other, I hear you ask? That's a negative and old-school thinking. This is Advanced Communication 2.0. Welcome to the 20th century, my friend. Robotic, monotonous, repetitive, emotionless, and surface-level communication generated by artificial intelligence. Communication with real-life avatars using machine learning computers to sound like a human computer. Outstanding, really. Makes you really think, what on earth were we doing in the 19th century? Did humanity even achieve anything? With the exception of cholera pants. Whilst doing nothing for the spread of cholera pants have made such a difference to the lives of us folk that are quite fond of our beans. I'm a big fan of leaving a room with the smell it had when you came in. Whilst its effectiveness at maintaining a level of air purity that doesn't make people wonder why you smell like a dead rat is still hotly debated amongst flatologists, they are easily still a staple of the high-end fashion circuit. It's fair to say that their impact on the world of fashion is second only to the timeless classic, the shell suit. A sensation when it first appeared in the 1980s, the shell suit is a walking contradiction. They were an instant head-turner and a welcomed severe attack on innocent bystanders. A real 1-2 combination, to use boxing parlance, a sport not unfamiliar to the abrasive and over-the-top, whilst at times being a complete farce. The shell suit was the perfect combination of light and sound, the sound of a walking packet of potato crisps and its blinding neon outer shell. It has truly earned its moniker as the midlife crisis of fashion. Now let's get into it, shall we? Understanding is overrated. Real communication is about power. It's about making people feel things, especially confusion, and more than a little intimidated. Confusion is a powerful tool. After all, if they don't understand you, they can't disagree with you. To prove this, I've been employing this tactic on you this whole time. I dare you to explain anything I've been talking about in any real comprehensible way. You can't, can you? It makes it impossible to disagree with any of the unintelligible things I've been rabbiting on about. And how on earth can you make any conclusions about anything? Except maybe how much of a complete moron I am. But that's the starting position for everyone, even before I open my mouth. Now that you've maintained the status quo, you can add some subtlety to your communication. What's more subtle than extreme levels of intimidation? And if deployed at the opportune time, they won't know what is happening until it's too late. Like discovering Jacques Cousteau was a real person, or the wasted years I spent trying to grow baby carrots, only to find out you have to grow large ones first, or that steak is expensive. I've never run so fast in my life. I've always wondered what happened to that girl. I know she was taken a little back meeting me in person. I just hadn't had the time to update my dating profile pictures with pictures of me. I was neck-deep in messages from female admirers, not to mention the fraud claims and that cease and desist letter from Brad Pitt. Who knew you couldn't use his pictures as a placeholder on a dating site? And he wouldn't drop it either. Not even after I added small print in size 6 Wingdings typeface saying that the pictures were for illustration purposes only, and that my name really wasn't Joe Black. To be fair, I did kind of look a little like him in the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, before he started aging backwards. Illustratively speaking. But talk about a dog with a bone and a carefully curated multi-million-dollar celebrity image to protect. Anyway, that girl was perfect, and I thought we both enjoyed the 10-course meat lovers degustation, with accompanying wine and an extra main course of Japanese Kobe steak that I ordered. How was I supposed to know she was vegetarian and in between jobs with no income? Talk about high expectations and poor communication skills. I didn't listen to a single word she said all night. And as the saying goes, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So enlighten me as to why would I then bother reading her dating profile, her likes, dislikes, food preferences, or interests. People pay way more attention to profile pictures, and it's hardly my fault if after reading my profile and the almost instantaneous suspicion it creates, they don't have the self-preservation to do a reverse image search. Anyway, it was just a series of really unfortunate premeditated events, just so freakishly coincidental that I had to unexpectedly leave when I got the bill, not to mention freakishly fast. Sorry, I didn't mean to go into that much detail, but it does add to my bona fides and is just another one of life's mysteries. Women. Can't live with them, can't outrun them sometimes either. Go figure. Right, enough bonding, that's not what we're here for, and I have to be careful I don't breach my court-ordered undertaking to Brad Pitt. I'm sorry, but to me he's more like a reverse Benjamin Button with inexplicable and serious anger management issues. When faced with repeated acts of repudiation of an undertaking not to impersonate him, infringe on his intellectual property rights, slander and criminally stalk him, on multiple occasions whilst armed with a hunting knife, and for it to all be over a simple case of mistaken identity. That's celebrities for you, thinking they deserve some privacy or protection from legitimate threats to their life by their biggest fans, when they don't even respond or hang up when they get anonymous death threats over the phone. So I've been told, and as was apparently outlined in the criminal complaint. That's if you could even be bothered reading the entire thing. I don't even read dating profiles, so I don't know why they thought I would read an unusually long list of criminal charges, not to mention the boxes of impressively thorough and indisputable supporting evidence. Perfect segue. Always remember you can be intimidating in any situation, a bit like Brad Pitt. Intimidation tactics are perfect for situations such as demanding a pay rise, trying to avoid a speeding fine, or even just ordering a pizza. Statements like the following one have universal application, and I'd say of those people not since incarcerated or under investigation for criminal threats, are somewhat useful. Maybe. Who knows, you got nothing to lose by going all in and seeing what comes out in the wash. Hopefully the colors don't run. No pun intended. So here it is, the universal timeless phrase for any situation. This phrase will see your life change instantly, but might delay delivery of your pizza a little bit. Hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he has and all he'll ever be. Me? I'll stab a hole in a man big enough to fit a head in, as long as I didn't stab him in the head, in which case it might be a bit hard to fit his head inside his own head, but either way I'd then go home and sleep like a baby. Mostly a crying and distressed baby, but not thinking about it too much. I mean, I'd be a baby. I'd have little understanding of the world around me and lack object permanence. So yeah, I'd be completely devoid of any concern, except maybe about where that ball goes when it's thrown behind the couch, but that'd be about it. There you have it, write it down, memorize it, no need to adapt it. It's a one-size-fits-all. Good luck, but I dare say you won't need it. You may need a lawyer, though. And just so happens I know a good one if you were ever to need it. He's done a lot of great work for Brad Pitt. And that brings us to technique number 1, the strategic oxymoron. Use phrases that seem deep but don't actually make sense. When someone asks your opinion, respond with, "I prefer structured spontaneity," or "I believe in practical impracticality." They'll be so busy trying to decipher what you mean that they'll forget they even asked a question. You might be thinking that it just confuses them. Precisely, confusion is respect. Which leads us to technique number 2, the echo of uncertainty. When someone expresses their thoughts, don't agree or disagree. Merely repeat what they said, neither with an inquisitive inflection nor an affirmative tone. Just leave it hanging, indefinitely, like you've suffered a stroke. But not so much that it raises serious concern. Just enough that it still could be something different entirely, like an issue with your intellectual and cognitive development. Or you could say something like, "Interesting, I wouldn't agree more if that was right. I know it could be, but are you sure?" This plants a tiny seed of doubt. It makes them question everything they just said, but it also seems as though you agree with them and hold a similar thought pattern. But also maybe you don't. You seem confident and sure, as well as vague and aloof. The perfect combination. Importantly, never actually give your own opinion on anything. Simply let them stew in their own thoughts. This suggests you're way too wise to get caught up in ordinary ideas. You might be thinking that's a bit manipulative. Well, you couldn't be more wrong. You are just struggling with the incongruence between this and what you've been taught all your life about communication and such abstract conspiratorial ideas, and outdated thinking as morality and decency. And that old classic achieving a win-win situation. You might as well believe the Earth is round, or that 5G electromagnetic frequencies and the COVID vaccine won't make you gay. Seems laughable now, doesn't it? Advanced Communication 2.0 is exactly the same, an illogical, ridiculous, outlandish theory that will, in the end, be universally accepted and undeniably considered illogical, ridiculous, and outlandish. That comforting and inclusive domain of the crazies and the crackpots. As the saying goes, be ahead of the round curve, which, I guess, would ultimately result in you being behind the curve. But semantics. Moving on. Technique number 3. The generous deferment. When someone asks for your input, say something like, I could share my thoughts, but I'd hate to sway your original brilliance. You see, it does two things. It lets them know you're far too insightful to waste your time explaining, and it makes them think their idea must be impressive. You're just too kind to outshine them. It's like a reverse compliment from Brad Pitt. Now you're ready for technique number 4, the gaslight gratitude. If someone challenges you, thank them as if they just did you a favor. Say, wow, thank you for pointing that out. I never realized how wrong you were until now. It throws them off completely because they think they're correcting you, but suddenly they're the ones questioning their own sanity. Much like you're doing now. And don't stop there. Ask them if they are seeing a psychologist, and if not, offer them a referral recommended to you by Trixie, a close personal friend and patient of the psychologist. In fact, make sure you stress the point that the psychologist is also highly recommended by 2 other people you know. Well, not people exactly. They are 2 of Trixie's multiple personalities. Sure, you might say that they're technically the same person. But Trixie's multiple personalities often don't agree with one another. In fact, from experience, I've found none of her personalities to be particularly agreeable. It's probably why I'm not friends with Trixie anymore. That and her trying to kill me with a cat-guided bomb whilst I was sailing. The theory behind the bomb sounds undeniably logical, so I feel I'm lucky to be alive. You might say I dodged a bullet, with a tiny cat guide inside, metaphorically speaking. I mean, cats always land on their feet and they hate water. It just makes sense. If you wanted an effective, simple way to blow up a ship, you'd put a cat inside a bomb, rig it up to a harness so it can control some flaps on the bomb, and drop the bomb near a ship out in the ocean. The cat's natural fear of water will make it steer the bomb towards the ship. And there you go, cat-guided bomb. Surprisingly, it unsurprisingly didn't work in World War II, and seems it still doesn't. That's some real 19th century thinking right there. Anyway, getting back to the matter at hand, you also want to offer some validation of the gains Trixie has made since seeing the psychologist. But how? I mean, Trixie did try to kill you with a cat-guided bomb. Focus on the wins, not the absurd failures. You want something quantifiable, like data, real quantifiable results. And as it turns out, since seeing the psychologist, Trixie has since developed an abnormal and quite disturbing increase in the number of her personalities. But isn't that dangerous and borderline gaslighting? Gaslighting, it is such a harsh term, I'd prefer to call it gracious enlightenment. Which brings us to the next technique. Technique number 5, the empathy evader. Nod empathetically as if you're fully understanding their point, and then say, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just on a different plane of thought. This will make them feel heard even though you've completely dodged the topic. They'll think you're deep and complex while you're actually giving yourself an easy exit. A bit like engaging in salutations with people, whilst leaving a room walking backwards, so you think this feels manipulative and that communication is supposed to be honest. Honesty. Oh, my dear friend, honesty is an amateur's game. You're here for advanced techniques. Real mastery is in giving the illusion of honesty without actually committing to anything. You've been conditioned into thinking honesty is an important element to interpersonal relationships. But have you thought how unnecessary likability and social attraction and trust really are? Well, pretty important, but look at it this way. And I'm about to blow your mind with this one. The perception of dishonesty is just a perception, and true dishonesty requires commitment and a complete lack of any decency, qualities we can all appreciate. It's like a life hack, or a get-rich-quick scheme. Everyone loves them and brags about how rich they're going to be until the scam is over and you never hear about it ever again. Well, not until you read about the loss of their life savings and their bankruptcy in the paper. Where do I sign? And that's why technique number 6 is perhaps my favorite. The vague visionary. Tell people I see things beyond the ordinary. Say it in a hushed tone, like you've been blessed with insights no one else could comprehend. You know, like John Edward, the television personality with impressively questionable psychic abilities. You could even use him as an example of the sort of insights you've been blessed with. And what provides more validation than John Edward? A well below average cold reading medium with an extremely low hit rate, and who also now has a line of tarot cards. Quite the entrepreneurial empath. Bonus. And who also has exceptional communication skills. Like that time he told a skeptical audience member, "I can only tell you what they're showing me, and if he's calling your mother a bitch, I'm gonna pass that on." That's some advanced communication 3.0 right there. It provides so many other benefits and a potential new TV program for binge watching. We can all use some inane comedy from time to time. And who knows, you might connect with a long-lost relative of someone else's that equally doesn't exist. But getting back to communication. With these techniques, others will be too intimidated to ask for any details, and they'll think you're operating on a whole different level. Just like John. Be like John. With luck, they may even think you actually do see dead people, and not just pretending to in order to give people false hope for profit. Either way, mission accomplished. So to sum up, avoid direct answers, use confusing phrases, and make people question their own thoughts. If they walk away questioning if ghosts exist or even if you might be one of Trixie's new personalities, they'll be like putty in your hands, or they may call emergency services on you for urgent medical assistance. Now, what if they don't know what you're talking about? In my experience, more often than not, this will be the case. But always remember, if they don't know what you're talking about, you've already won the conversation. Communication isn't about being understood. It's about leaving an impression, preferably one of baffling brilliance, or the nagging feeling that they just survived an encounter with someone that has a severe mental illness. I'd take that as a win any day of the week. Master these techniques and you'll never have to say anything meaningful ever again. And who knows, you may even get that urgent medical assistance you so desperately need. Until next time, take care. Wait, I've got a message incoming. Hold on. It's from Jack. Do you know anyone named Jack? Could be Michael. Any Michaels you know. Or how about James? Do you know anyone called James? Anyone. What about the letter A? Anyone that has an A in their name? Come on, there must be someone. What about anyone with a vowel? Really? Okay then. I mean, what are the chances you only know people named Ung, Bryn, and Gwyneth? Fancy that. Okay, sorry, what was that you just said? I didn't quite hear it above all the voices in my head. Right. I see you don't believe in parapsychology or that female mosquitoes like the musical styling of Skrillex. Fair enough. Well, what about sailing? I don't suppose you're into sailing. You know, you might be right. I'm starting to sound a little bit desperate, I suppose. You know what? It could be the severe withdrawals I've been suffering these past few weeks. I really need to go and get a new prescription. I mean, Trixie hasn't shut up about it either. So I could kill 2 birds with 1 cat, I guess. Sorry, Freudian slip. Anyway, you should go. Bye, friend. Oh, and just in case you're wondering what their message is, she's calling your mother a bitch.